When I was 4 years old in Sharpstown parking lot where our apartment complex was, this adult told me, hey, you want to go to Disneyland? And I remember what I see on TV. Oh my goodness, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, all those things. And I was like, yeah, I want to go to Disneyland. If you get in that dryer, you'll go to Disneyland. So this adult, I want you to imagine, picks up this 4-year-old child, puts him in the top community dryer, closes it. It turns on, and he leaves me there to die. And I remember as soon as it closed, I remember saying, this doesn't feel right. I always knew I was meant to be on TV. I was meant to inspire people. I didn't know how. My name is Garrain Jones, and I am founder and CEO at Artist Power. My dad, he lied often. He never really did what he said he was gonna do, and I would hear what other people say about my dad. And for some reason, I would always see the good. I was like, I know he's gonna do it one day. I know he's gonna get me that scooter he said he was gonna get. When I was 5, I was at my aunt's house, and there's a lot of like drunk relatives and some family friends and everything, and I get up to go and sing, and I'm doing Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, and I'm doing my whole moves, and everybody starts booing. Oh, Garrain, you can't sing, you can't dance. And I remember, it's clear as day, even through my dad's, whatever he was going through, with him being wasted, he's like, hey, don't you tell my son what he can and cannot do. Garrain, if you love it and it makes you happy, then you do what makes you happy. Don't you tell my son. And I think it's one of the earliest memories of somebody having my back. I held on to that. And so he was like my hero because he had my back. Fast forward to when I was 12 years old, it was my week to go see him. Something inside said, don't go. And I just didn't go. And it's the first time I didn't go. I always loved going to see my dad. And I didn't go. Still to this day don't remember why I didn't go. And that was the day I hear about 2 men breaking into my dad's house, hitting him upside the head with a hammer, leaving him in a pool of blood. They left him there to die, and he later, he died in the hospital like a week later. 2 men murdered my father, and it broke me. It broke me in half. I felt like half of me died. I just kept crying and kept crying. He was murdered. I had the opportunity to go see my dad. And one of my relatives was like, oh, you don't want to go see him. You don't want to see him that way. And I listened. And that was the day that he died. And I could never live that down. It's my fault. I blamed myself because I didn't go see him. I blamed myself when my mom and dad separated, and I originally chose to go and live with my dad, and the last minute I chose to go with my mom. I blame myself because I didn't go and live with my dad. And so it played a huge role because I felt like half of me died. And I don't wish that on anyone. When I was 18, I hated reading, and I used to talk with a lisp. I used to talk like this, and I was deathly afraid of public speaking. So a lady named Shannon Davison, for my 18th or 19th birthday, gave me the Power of Positive Thinking book. I thought it was the stupidest gift ever. And then one day, I was so dissatisfied because I couldn't talk. I just took the only book that I had, which was The Power of Positive Thinking, and I started over-enunciating my words like this, stretching out all of my vowels, only to finish the book, and I was talking like this, and I was like, oh! So I just kept reading and reading. Fortunately, I was reading a book called the power of positive thinking. Now, someone who comes from a negative background, negative thinking, that is part of my domestication. When you happen to read a book called The Power of Positive Thinking, you start to develop a power and you start to develop positive thinking. I had no idea that how you think and how you feel and what you allow to come out of your mouth determines the character of your life. You can literally create your life. So I learned from that book unconsciously how to alter the trajectory of my life. And when I stopped reading the book, the negative weeds of my past came and overtook my positive mental garden. Born in Houston, Texas, raised in Missouri City, Texas, shout out to the Mo. And I remember saying, one day I'm gonna leave this place, go somewhere where nobody knows your name. And the only place I could think of was Los Angeles. But all of your people here. And I was like, they'll be here when I come back. And I left. And it was the scariest time of my life. And it was the most difficult. It broke me. This was in 1998. Texas was a lot different. It was less accepting of unique people. And me going to Los Angeles, it spoke a language to me that said, be yourself, create your own lane. My mom, when I was little, would not buy me a pair of Jordans for $150. Could you imagine that? Someone without the money. When you can make your own money, you can buy whatever you want. My mom said you were just this little bitty kid and you would go from door to door. And if they would tell you no for washing their car, you said, can I mow your lawn? If they say no, they're like, I have a lemonade stand at the corner. And you would just never not take no for an answer. And next thing you know, you would just have this money for what you wanted. I never learned about integrity. I had a lack of direction, didn't have a mentor, whatever would make money. And it wasn't until my first daughter, Kylia, was born, and I was in the height of my modeling career. And in the height of it all, it was instantly taken away. Here I am, my girlfriend was Miss France, the year 2000 or 2001, something crazy like that. I'm in France, and I meet these guys that I know from Los Angeles, at a nightclub, and I love their lifestyle. I love the cars. I love that they're surrounded by women. I love all those things. I'm like, how do I do that? So they gave me an opportunity. And I've never been shy from taking an opportunity. What led me to prison was my hunger and drive to make more money. So even when I was making good money from acting and modeling and everything, I was still hungry to make more money. And so that's what had me smuggling drugs, because I could make money right away. I had written songs while I was in prison of one day, if I were to get out, my commitment was I was gonna record these songs. I had just gotten out of prison for 2.5 years for smuggling drugs from one country to the next. I didn't think I was gonna get out that soon. So all of the songs that I wrote and recorded 3 months after getting out of prison were the songs that got me my record deal. A good friend of mine, D-Ray Davis, he's a host of the Los Angeles Improv. And on Monday nights, instead of putting up a comedian, he called me his little brother. He said, my little brother just got out of prison. He's gonna come up and sing a song. I sang a song called Mr. Ordinary. I had no idea that Ludacris was in the audience. He was like, man, I really like that song. You got any more music? I was like, yeah. I have 30 songs that I recorded in the last 28 days. And then 2 months later, I did a $500,000 deal with DTP Def Jam. And it fit the momentum that I had when I was leaving prison. So I wasn't shocked at something that I put a lot of dedication and work towards. I was more shocked when I got dropped from Def Jam, but I still was on DTP, and I ended up walking away from DTP because my ego was like, I can do it all by myself. And I think that this whole whirlwind of me manifesting a life and not knowing how to keep it was the biggest shock. And it restored me back to the toxic behaviors that I had that had me wind up in prison in the first place. Every once in a while, like when you're playing a video game, every 3 to 4 rounds, there's like this wise owl or this wizard, and they've been sent to give you specific words of advice for the road ahead. The game of life also has those wizards or those teachers or those guides that every 3 or 4 breakthroughs or personal shifts in your life, there's someone or something that comes along to send you a message, and a message can come from anywhere. And what I realized was with the homeless man that I'm now aware of is that he was one of my guides that was sent to send me a message that would penetrate every lie that I told myself so that I could experience vibrational truth that would create a conscious interrupt and make me really think about life. When you are unconscious to life, you miss all the signs. So I missed all the signs. How to stop when the universal signs got louder. And when I was living in my car for 2.5 years, $200,000 in debt, the only thing that nobody can take away is my car. Because I bought that with my record deal money. And that was the only thing that I had. And that was the place where I felt the most safe. So I was like, they can't take this away. So I went in my car. One day turned into a week, turned into 2 weeks, and occasionally I would go over a different girl's house and sleep on other people's couches. Turned into a month, turned into 5 months, and next thing you know, I'm looking up, it's like 1.5 years, and I'm just like, man, I don't know how I can be this talented and still be in the same spot. It was November 2011 at 3:43 in the morning. And all my life, I'd always ask, what's wrong? Can it get any worse? Or like, why is all this bad stuff happening to me? And that night, I actually stopped saying, can it get any worse? Because every time I would say that, it would get worse. And I remember saying, I know it can be better. I know my time is coming. And that's when I just yelled out, okay, I'm tired of fighting. I don't want to fight anymore. I want to be healthy. I want to be happy. I want to be surrounded by nothing but positive people. I just want to inspire people. And I want to make a bunch of money, but I want the money to represent something that I passionately believe in, that I would do for free. Just show me a sign. Show me a sign. Show me a sign. And then there was silence. Interesting. A week later, that's when I met the homeless man. He asked me for money, and I said, you have more money than me. And he said, change your mindset, change your life. Instantly, conscious interrupt. There was something about what the man said that spoke to the vibrational part of my essence. When somebody is speaking vibrational truth, your body has to respond because it transcends the world of thought, which means the mind is not involved. And I think that is what happened. Even this company was built from a place of vibrational truth, and that's why it impacts such a great deal. There was always a seed of a lesson that was part of a much larger picture. And I took all those lessons, put them in a book, put them on podcasts. I had no idea that it would end up inspiring millions of people, because through my journey, I learned how to be brave with who I really am and my real story, and learn the power of vulnerability will speak to the voiceless part of any soul that knows when vibrational truth is speaking. I used to ask God, why does it feel like I'm living 15, 20 different people's lives? No idea. I just felt like I was connected to the stripper, and I used to be a stripper. I was connected to the gangbangers. I was never in a gang, but I ran around with them and I did what they did. I was connected to many different kinds of people, and I felt like I lived so many different aspects of life, only to realize that by overcoming all of those different aspects, I could speak into relatability, and people listen to who they relate to. So now when you look at my life, it's not the amount of people, it's the caliber of people that come to this direction, that come to this vibration. And they're all somebody who's internally experiencing something deep, either that they haven't dealt with, they're currently dealing with, and it's a different variation of who I have been in the past. And every time I overcome it, and I'm brave enough to speak about it, now other people say, I'm not alone. I'm gonna follow this dude because he's reaching a part of me that nobody's been able to get into. I've been the type of person my entire life to bring authenticity and bring an aspect of expression, one that causes people to feel free on the inside. It's almost like a permission slip. But I never actually used it as a modality of healing and transformation and creating confidence and joy in the world. I'd already impacted millions of people, but I always felt like something was missing. And then I went in a deep meditation and I just asked, I said, what am I missing? And I called upon God and my guides and I said, use me to communicate a message to humanity. 10 minutes later, I heard a voice that said, Garrain, you'll be at a party and somebody will ask you, what do you do? And you say, I'm a transformation coach. And then all of a sudden you feel called to pick up a drum and you'll start drumming or you'll start singing. And next thing you know, 300 people are dancing. Garrain, start with the art, then take them to transformation. And it was in that moment, I had one of the biggest epiphanies of my life. Oh my goodness. It's the little kid inside who just wants to be seen for being themselves. And instantly I saw so many people, so many wars, so many arguments and fights all over the world as broken little kids who didn't feel seen, who didn't feel heard, who didn't feel like they mattered in the world. And they're carrying in an outward reflection the suppression of stuck emotion. And Artist Power was born out of a deep desire to restore the heart back into humanity. My response to changing the world by first changing myself and honoring little Garrain. What did I used to love? What made me happy? What made me sad? What brought me so much joy? No matter what race, what background, what nationality, what skin color, there was something that was a through line to everyone. And that's either the little kid inside of you was happy or the little kid inside of you was not. And most were not. So Artist Power Collective is a collection, is an environment that creates a safe space for artists, creators, and entrepreneurs to come together to have their true voice actually be heard instead of being shut out and told that you're too loud, you're too fast, you're too this, you're too that. It creates the kind of safe space in your nervous system to want to be your true self. And most people don't have that kind of community and they don't even know where to look for it. So this is the light in a world of darkness. The modality that we use is movement and expression and sound and self-touch and self-expression, so that any level of trauma, any level of darkness, any level of stuckness that's inside turns into a music note that now knows that it's always been a part of a giant symphony. Through this process, this healing journey, this remembering who I truly am, which is a loving human and to love fully without boundaries, I learned how to forgive. Maybe not forget, but forgive. And I developed the strength that it took to forgive the two men who murdered my father, because I wished death upon them and their kids for a long time. And when I truly felt in my heart, hate doesn't belong in my heart because I am a loving person, well, then I must love. And I chose to powerfully forgive those two men who murdered my father and wish them nothing but the best. Now, the bill always comes due. Anything that you put out is gonna come back, but I don't need to throw gasoline on someone who's already burning. And so inside of this tragic event, I have grown, I have learned, I have developed, I have cultivated, and in a way, by me doing even this company, Artist Power, and creating the Artist Power Collective, it's what I love. It's what makes me happy. And it's what makes millions of other people happy. So in a way, my dad's still here, so I get to keep on his legacy. And I've turned it into an entire forest. So having said that, thank you, Dad. When you can understand frequency and vibration through the rhythmic patterns of colors and dance and expression and artistic values and just your true authentic state, you will see that there is an avenue for everyone to discover their true freedom. There's head truth, there's things that you learn, and then there's something that cuts through all of that. And that's when your body starts remembering. That's when the little kid inside of you feels seen, heard, acknowledged, safe, feels celebrated for simply being yourself without the need to do anything. Artist Power Collective is the systematic change that is needed on a deep soul level for humans to remember their true power and who they are deep down on the inside. We just surround you around a bunch of really epic people, and that is the collective. And I have a saying that says, flowers that grow together grow much faster than they do by themselves. Community, period, should have more value on it than people give it. Because community is a form of language, is a form of frequency, is a form of energy, it's a form of examples. And everywhere in my life, be it good or bad, where I've immersed myself in the community, I ended up speaking the language, ended up doing what they were doing, and I ended up behaving like they were behaving. I didn't know that a success, goal-driven community even existed. So I succeeded in all of the negative communities, running around chasing women. I succeeded at that. Breaking into cars, breaking into houses, I succeeded at that. But I was doing everything that was inside of the community. So when I was introduced to the healthy, active lifestyle, when I was introduced to personal growth, emotional intelligence, understanding vibration and inherent frequencies and how to conjure that up in my vessel because of the people that I was around. It was in that moment that I realized that if you can get yourself around the right combination of people, everyone will excel together. And I look at community just like notes on a piano. If you play one note off key, to the average ear, you'd be like, oh, you're playing a bad song. But anybody who has an understanding of music, they understand there's no such thing as a bad note. It's just surrounded around the wrong combination of notes. So in the right combination of notes, you can play the most beautiful song ever. So I was actually not a bad seed. Just like people out there think, oh, I'm a bad person. No, you're just surrounded around the wrong combination of people. And whatever the 5 closest people that you surround yourself around, whatever they're doing, you'll end up being. So if you do that 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 15 years out of your life, and it is a successful, forward-thinking, positively motivated community who want to do good things in life, 100% you will benefit from that energy. My legacy will be that Garrain taught us all what true freedom is.
I'm a big fish!
And we got to live from an authentic place that has now and always been our birthright, remembering who we all are deep down on the inside. And that's a little kid with a gift and a magical way to share it. When I physically go, I will never die. Because as long as that message of truly being free from the inside out is alive, Garrain will be alive. Because that's what I stand for. That's what I live for. That's what I strive to be like.
I'm a big fish! Bloop, 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 bloop.